All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for coming out tonight to learn a little bit more about the reassessment project that we're in the middle of right now. What's going to explain what we've been doing on the project for the last several months and what we're going to be doing going forward and what after in March of 2025, what you're going to be getting in the mail. We're not going to deal too much with the disclosure notice that you're going to be getting in the mail because we're going to have another public meeting at the end of February of next year, but we'll really get into that and explain what the process is, okay? I think this is the third or fourth time that my firm, by the way, I'm Joe Eminger, my firm, ENPM, Eminger, Newton, Bidger, Magnier. I'm here with Frank Cirillo from my firm. I think this is the third or fourth time that we've done Grand Island since 2009, 2010. So around 15 years, which is about it. It's about every 4 years you get it. The last time it was done was 2020, 2021, COVID in that time frame. And nothing's really changed. If you've seen the presentation that I've done over the past 14, 15 years, it's still the same way. We still do reassessment projects the same way. Nothing has really changed. The only thing that's changed is, quite frankly, the market. Okay, it's changed in a good way, but it's definitely changed. Okay, when we did this project the first time, okay, I'm going to just, for argument's sake, I'm going to say 2010. When we did this project the first time, I believe there was only one sale on the island that was over $1 million. Okay, obviously that has changed now. Okay, there are a lot more sales in that price range. But prices have gone up all over Western New York, New York State. City of Buffalo right now is in their informal review process that you're going to be going through in March and April. The City of Buffalo is going through their process right now that we're involved with. And property values have gone up significantly there as well. In every community, they've gone up. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you what a reassessment does, what it doesn't do. Okay, the reassessment project does not raise your tax levy. The tax levy is the money that is created by the town board or the taxing jurisdiction, being the county legislature or the school district. It's the tax levy. It's the number that has to be raised through taxation. And the tax levy is what the New York State tax cap gets applied to. Okay, a reassessment project has no impact on the tax levy, zero impact. And why is that? Because the assessor does not the assessor does not have a say in the taxation of the town properties. Those are done by the taxing jurisdictions, your elected officials. That's who creates the tax levy. All it does is a reapportionment, the same side. The tax levy is going to go up roughly, give or take a little bit, 2% every year, because that's the New York State tax cap. Sometimes municipalities go over it, sometimes they stay under it. But it's basically the shape of the pie is going to stay the same. The slices of the pie, your property assessments, are going to change slightly. Okay, but that's all it is. So it's not a money grab by any municipality because they took that away, New York State, when they did that tax cap. And so you should be embracing the tax cap. Elected officials should be embracing the tax cap. It's a good thing all around, I think, for everybody. Okay, so the goal of the project, the goal of any reassessment project, is just to create equity. Okay, uniform, fair, and equitable assessments. It's been about 4 years, give or take a little bit, since the revaluation has occurred in the town. Okay, in that time period, values have changed. It's fluctuated. Different parts of the town appreciate or depreciate at different rates. Okay, waterfront properties appreciate at a different rate than parcels that are over interior in the town, most areas. Okay, because you can only have, and I know people on the waterfront don't like when I say this, but you have waterfront or you don't have waterfront. You can't create the waterfront. The Niagara River's there. You either have the frontage on the Niagara River or you don't. And those properties all across the state are very desirable. We're doing a community right now in the Finger Lakes. Okay, property values on a lake, We're going up at a lot faster rate than the rest of the community. And that's why you do a reassessment project, because if you don't do a reassessment project, those properties that are become underassessed, because those properties on the lake are appreciating at a much higher rate than the rest of the town. Okay? But the goal is uniform, fair, and equitable assessments. You just want to be paying your fair share of taxes. Who doesn't like paying taxes? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Don't be bashful. Okay? I'm going to raise both my hands. Okay? Nobody likes paying taxes. Okay? But taxes are necessary to provide the services that you get. So you want to make sure you're only paying your fair share of the tax. That's what you got to walk away in March when you get your notice. Is it a representation of what I can sell my property for? So New York State says does not require that properties be at 100% valuation. Okay, what they do require is that all properties be assessed at the same uniform percentage of value. That's Real Property Tax Law 305. The same percentage of value. Right now, the town of Grand Island is assessed at 73%. 73% of market value. You look at your assessment, you got to take your assessment, divide it by 0.73, and that will give you the full market value estimate of your property. Okay, that 70. I'm going to get into that a little later. I won't get into that now. So the assessor is charged with assessing properties at the same uniform percentage of value. It doesn't. Town of Alma is like 3%. Okay. They haven't done a reassessment project, I don't think, since 1960 or maybe earlier. Okay, I appraised the property down in Long Island. Their equalization rate was 1.25%. Okay, so but when you have those low, very low equalization rates, that creates a ton of inequities in the roll. And this is going to be like assessment 101 here. I hope to teach you a little bit here, okay? And why are inequities created? Because the law favors you as a property owner, not the municipality or the assessor. And here's why. You buy your house for I'm just going to say $250,000. Buy your house for $200,000, and right nowadays that's probably a starter home. I still can't believe that. But you buy a house for $250,000. And but your house is assessed for full value. Your house is assessed for $290,000. Okay, so the property is assessed $40,000 more than you paid for in an arm's length market transaction. Okay, you as a property owner should immediately, your first stop after you get back from the county hall and get all the papers signed, your first stop should be at the assessor's office, because you show them the contract, you show the ML listing, and you say, I want to get my property tax reviewed. You can do that as a property owner. You can get your assessment lowered. Now let's do it the other way around. You buy a property for $290 and you're assessed for $250 full value. The assessor cannot up your assessment. Okay, it's called welcome stranger law. Unless there's some significant, I'm not saying they can't do it all the time, but unless there's some significant changes in your property. So the only way that the town can make everything more fair and equitable is to do reassessment projects. Okay, all right, continuing on. Okay, and some of this stuff I'm probably going to repeat several times. Okay, so increased assessment do not cause increased taxes. Okay, and here's proof. I'm going to proof of it. Okay, we all got our school tax bills in the last couple of weeks, right? And your assessments, for the most part, I'm going to say probably 99% of it, probably haven't changed in the last 4 years since the last time it was done. Okay, but your school taxes have gone up every year, right? So it can't be because the assessments, because your assessment has stayed the same, right? Your assessment hasn't changed one iota. Okay, what's changed is the tax levy. Okay, that's what changed. And that's what you have to pay attention to from tonight forward till you're no longer with us on this planet. Pay attention to the tax levy of your school district, your town board, and your county legislators. Because that's going to really kind of determine if your taxes are going to be going up for the most part. Okay, so pay attention to the tax levy. Okay? These are some dates that we're going through, okay? It's in May, project startup, doing data collection from May to October. We've been working for the last 3-4 months on data collection in the town. You may have seen some of our data collectors going around. Okay, they've been gathering all the information on the properties, and we use from the road. Okay, we don't go. We haven't been in on the inside of your homes. Okay, if you want us to go in on the inside of your home, we got to be invited. You can certainly invite us. And I would encourage those people who believe that maybe their house has a lot of deficiencies to reach out to us, and we'll get an appraiser out there to look at your home. Okay, if you have super adequacies, I'll get it. Okay, if your house is really nice on the inside, okay, I don't think you want us on the inside. Okay, just being honest with you. Okay, I always put myself like I'm sitting in your chair. I want the person up here being as frank and honest as we can be, and the assessor agrees with this, because this is an open book. There are no secrets in this project, and I say that in all honesty. Okay, there should be no secret. You gotta help us, and we can help you, perhaps. Okay, so we've been doing all this data collection. We've been verifying sales. It's a big process. When I say verifying sales, what does that include? How many sales, assessor, do we get a year here, roughly?
Valid, probably 200 to 300.
Put you on the spot.
I know, I didn't come ready for that.
Okay, 200, 300.
Couple hundred, yeah.
Okay, a couple hundred, 200, 300 sales. Okay, we're going back 3 years. We're using 3 years of data for your property. So we're going back to 2020. It's 2024. So we're going to go back to 2021 for your sales. It'll be July 1 of 2024 to July 1 of 2021 to July 1 of 2024, which is a couple months ago. Okay, so we verify, make sure all the sales are valid. The assessor used the term valid. Every sale is not a valid sale. Estate sales may or may not be valid. Okay, the state doesn't like assessors, contractors to use estate sales, but sometimes they are valid sales. And the example I've used, and I've used this example here in Grand Island before, my mother passed away 28 years ago. I was the executor of the estate. All of my siblings lived out of town. Okay, so they left the little brother. I'm the youngest. They left me to handle everything. And we listed it with MLS, listed it with a realtor. Okay, it wasn't the market was good back then, not like it is now, but the market was good. It sat on the market for like 3-4 months. Okay, and we finally sold the property. That's a valid sale, in my opinion, because we exposed it on the market. It was exposed to a lot of people. Okay, the municipality that I live in, in full disclosure, I know a lot about taxes because I'm the town supervisor next door to you in Tonawanda, if you don't know that. Okay, so I understand how municipalities operate and do that. So the town of Tonawanda does not use my sale for a valid sale because they call it an estate sale. But that was 28 years ago. They wouldn't use it anyways now. Okay. So we're right now we're getting into the modeling. We're getting into the kind of the nuts and bolts of the project. We're going to be doing that starting in a couple weeks, and we'll be working through the end of October into November, kind of getting the modeling done. Comparing apples to apples, trying to get evaluation for your property, so we can then field review what we're coming up in our model. So that's till the end of the year. January and March, field reviews. And disclosure notices will be mailed out the first week of March to all of you. And like I said, we're gonna have a meeting in February, end of February, that'll talk more about that process and get into it more in depth. Okay, informal reviews will follow that, your notice. You'll get notices of those results by April 30th. In May, on May 1st, the tentative roll gets filed. Okay, Board of Assessor review is May 28th of next year. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Okay, that's the day that you can come in and challenge it. And then the final roll is July 1 of 2025. And the first bill that this will be impacted, that the new valuations will be applied to, will be next September school bill. And this should be 2026 town and county. Yeah, 2026. So it's not this year's town and county. We'll make that correction so you can put it on the website. That happened, yeah, and I still didn't fix it. So it's January 2026 town and county tax bill. So a little ways away still. Okay, so here's some frequent questions. Why is my community doing a reassessment project? Well, kind of what I just said a little bit earlier. Well, the taxes are a zero-sum game. Okay, well, one property owner doesn't pay, another property owner pays, but the pie is the same size. You don't want to. We want to get away from paying too little, and those people are paying too much. We want everybody just paying their fair share. Okay. Improved bond rating, very important. I can tell you for a fact that Moody's, Standard & Poor's, when your municipality goes out for bonding, whether it be for roads or sewer projects, they do look at if your municipality has done a reassessment project. So they look favorably on that. Equity. Property owners receive fair and equitable treatment when all properties are assessed at a uniform level. Again, that's what we're trying to achieve here, equity. Nobody's paying too much or too little. And it corrects the inequities. There are inequities in the roll. There's no question about that. In every municipality, there's inequities in the roll. And this is the opportunity for the town to look at some of those inequities. They're gonna find this hard to believe, but some people do not get building permits for everything that they should be getting a building permit. Okay, and this is an opportunity for the town to correct that. Okay, we use Big Brother in the sky too. We do them from the right of way. We're inspecting from the right of way. I started to get on that a little earlier. We inspected your properties from the right of way, the road, and we have Big Brother. This year, we did not do a cruise of the river. We have done that in prior years. We did not do that this year. I'll leave it. It wasn't done. It was my decision. It wasn't done because I felt that we caught a lot the last couple of times that we did it, and there might be some people who have, and there are people who have $500,000 in their backyard, which is great. But hopefully we catch those all from Big Brother in the sky. So your overall taxes do not increase significantly unless you are grossly underassessed. Okay, and I think most people, if they're being honest with themselves, will admit that they know they're grossly underassessed. Okay, for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into why they're grossly underassessed. But, so your taxes will not go up unless you're grossly underassessed. I have a good friend of mine who was all opposed to reassessment project because our firm did a reassessment project, and I'll say the town of Cheektowaga a number of years ago, okay, and totally opposed reassessment because he's pointing to me like I'm the assessor in Cheektowaga, or I'm on the town board in Cheektowaga. He says, you raised my son's taxes. They went up a lot. And I say, well, I didn't raise your son's taxes. Your son was way underassessed in prior years, and he was getting, quite frankly, the rest of the town was subsidizing him. That's not fair. And we go at it. He's still totally against reassessment projects. No matter what I explain to him. So if you're grossly underassessed, your taxes will be going up. I'm not gonna deny that. If you're grossly overassessed, we're gonna correct it here. You've been paying too much in tax. Next question is, those people who are overassessed, can they get a rebate or a refund on their over taxation? Can't do that, okay? That isn't gonna happen, okay? We do everything prospectively, okay? So, the reassessment does not hurt a particular group or, in the town. And actually, the older residents or poor neighborhoods, I think, benefit more than most with a reassessment project. Okay, lack of transparency, of not maintaining an equity assessment project. Okay, the lack of reassessment does not keep taxes from going up. I explained that earlier. Okay, it does, however, overtax some property owners, who in the end ends up subsidizing other property owners. Okay, that's the message. I keep saying it over and over again. Okay, outdated assessed values give you inequities in a row, because the assessor of the municipality can't do anything to correct it. There's a house in a community nearby, sold earlier this year for $705,000. Okay, the full value assessment on that property is $450,000. So $250,000 underassessed. Okay, that property owner, no, the municipality is not doing a reassessment project this year, or in 2026 either, or 2025. I'm sorry. That property owner is paying too little in tax, and the rest of the town is subsidizing it. Not fair. Not fair. Okay. Equalization rate. Okay, it's set by New York State. That's 73%. I mentioned it at the beginning. Equalization rate in town of Grand Island, 73%. Last year, I believe it was 76%. Okay, so in 1 year, the equalization rate drops 3%. That's set by New York State. Assessor doesn't set the equalization rate. The town board doesn't set the equalization rate. Set by New York State. They come in every year in every municipality, the 900 towns in New York State, and they will set equalization rates based on their sample that they do either in the field or at their desk of the sales that have occurred in the municipality. How is the equalization rate set? They take the sale price on valid sales and divide by the assessment, and you get a ratio there, 70%. So if your property sold for $73,000, and you probably would have sold for I don't know how, I forget how it works there. They set the rate, it's the assessment and the sale price. Okay, and it's a percentage. Your sale price is going to be a percentage of the assessment, and they look at it. And they look at how much values are appreciating in the community, and that's how it's set. I know I didn't explain it that right, but it's the ratio between the sale price and the assessment, and that's 73%, down from 76%. That means your property values are going up. It means your property values are an inverse relationship. The lower the equalization rate, the higher the value. Yes, sir.
Are you going to take questions now, or are you going to wait to the end?
I would ask you to hold on to it. I'll ask you to hold it if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay. Fluctuating equalization rates, they change every year. Overall market value changes. That equalization rate, here's another reason to do a reassessment project. The equalization rate gets applied to every single property in the town. That 73% number, whether you live on the waterfront or if you live next to an industrial plant, that 73% is applied to every single property. Okay, that creates inequities by itself. That creates inequities because those properties next to the industrial plant are not appreciating at the same rate. I'm not picking on the waterfront properties. It's just an easy example to use. Okay, and appreciating a different rate. Okay, exemptions are greatly impacted by if you don't keep your assessment higher, because the exemption level, the exemptions that seniors get, low-income seniors get, they go down every year. Okay, I'm going to use. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the numbers for this particular town, but let's just say. Let's say your equalization rate is 25%, and it drops down to 24% in 1 year. That year that it was 25%, those low-income seniors got a $1,200 exemption off their assessment. $1,200. Okay. The following year it's 24%. That exemption goes down to $900. So you can see that every time the equalization rate drops, the exemption levels are dropping as well. Okay, so when you maintain it at 100%, you get the full exemption level. You get the full exemption level. That's and the town, by the way, wants everybody to apply for every exemption that you're eligible for. So veterans, seniors, disabled veterans, all the exemptions. You should contact the assessor's office, and they'll give you a whole list of the exemptions that you qualify for. March 1st is the taxable status date. March 1st is also the date that all your exemptions have to be filed by with the assessor's office. Don't come into the assessor's office on March 2nd. Okay, March 1st. Don't tear your garage down. If you're going to tear something down, okay, a garage, you're going to tear down a house, okay? Don't tear it down on March 2nd, because it's what's there on March 1st that's going to be assessed and taxed, okay? And vice versa, okay? If you're going to build a garage or you're going to be putting an addition on your house, don't start it on February 28th. Start it on March 2nd. You basically get a year free of tax. Okay? So again, putting myself in your shoes, that's what I would do if I was in your position. Okay? So if my town does a reassessment project, will my taxes increase? Well, again, I don't know what that says precisely, but yeah, your tax, because if the levy increases, your taxes are gonna, in all likelihood, go up. There are elected officials who will tell you that they'll get up on the pulpit, so to speak, and they will say, I lowered taxes. Look at the tax rate is the lowest tax rate that we've had in 20 years. Okay? That doesn't mean a darn thing. Okay, it doesn't mean a darn thing. Because I can guarantee you a couple of things with this project. One of them is the tax rate in the town of Grand Island is going to go down. And I'm going to get into that in a couple slides. Maybe the next slide. So elected officials who say, I lowered taxes because I lowered the tax rate, and there was a supervisor in the town of Amherst over a decade ago, 15, 20 years ago, who ran on that platform that I did a reassessment project and I lowered your taxes. And people are looking at their tax bills and they're going, my taxes didn't go down. What's she talking about? She lowered the tax rate because they did a reassessment project. Don't get confused by people trying to talk about lowering tax rates mean lowering taxes. You got to lower the levy. You got to lower the tax levy. That's how you lower taxes. Okay. The county executive, to his credit, this past year did actually lower the tax levy, and I think most people's taxes probably went down a few bucks. Nothing outrageous, but it did go down because he lowered the levy. Here it is, okay? Assessment and taxes, what the difference? Three things are going to happen. This gets more into what's going to happen next March. But three things are going to happen when you get your letter in the mail the first week of March next year. Your assessment could increase, and your tax bill could decrease. Joe, how's that going to happen? My assessment's going to increase and my tax bill is going to decrease. Well, hopefully you've learned something here. It has to deal with the tax levy. Okay, so here's the example. Your assessment's $100,000. The total taxable value of the green, and these are just examples. These are not true numbers for Grand Island. The total taxable value of the town is $50 million. The tax levy, $1.5 million. That's how you get your tax rate. You take the tax levy divided by the, into the total taxable value of the town, you get a rate of 3 cents. But everything is per thousand. So you take that 3 cents times 1,000, and that gives you the $30 per thousand. You multiply that $30 per thousand by your assessment, and you're doing it by 1,000, remember, so it's that 100,000 gives 100. So it's 100 times 30 gives you $3,000. Next year it happens, comes along, your assessment goes up 5%. So now your assessment is now $105,000. The total taxable value of the town goes up 8%. That's another very important figure that you should pay attention to next March. The total taxable value of the town. That's another thing I can guarantee you, is that that's going up. I don't know what it's going up yet, but the total taxable value of the town is going up. Okay, you get the tax levy, they stayed. The fathers, town fathers and mothers, they did their job, and they kept the tax levy the same, 1.5 million. The tax rates arrived at the same way. The tax levy into the total taxable value of the town, you get a rate of 0.0278 cents per thousand. Multiply that by 105 now, and the tax bill was down $83. Don't spend it all in one place. Okay, so that's the first example. Second example, your assessment could increase and your tax bill could stay the same, relatively the same. The example on the left-hand side, it's the same. On the right, what's changed? Your assessment went up 5%. Your total taxable value of the town went up 8%. Those numbers stayed the same. The tax levy. Tax levy changed. Okay? In this instance, tax levy went up 2.86%. So what does that tell you? There's a 2% tax cap, Joe. How is it going to be 2.86%? Well, if you get a supermajority of the school board or the town board, they could override the tax cap. Okay, and in this community, they obviously did. Okay, so you end up with a tax rate of $28.57 times 105, and you get $3,000. Okay, so remember I said pay attention to the tax levy. That's going to tell you if your taxes are going to be going up a little bit. In this case, the tax levy went up, but the taxes stayed the same. That all relates to these two numbers here. If the total taxable value of the town goes up 10%, I'm going to do a different number because there'll be bigger numbers. If the total taxable value of the town goes up 40%, okay, and your assessment goes up 30%, your increase, okay, you're probably going to see either similar taxes or a tax reduction, even though your assessment went up 30%. They're seeing that in Buffalo now. Assessments are going up 80, 90% in Buffalo, and taxes are the same. Okay, because it has to do with kind of these two things working together. So the third example is not going to happen in Grand Island. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why shortly. Same example on the left. Your assessment goes down. That's not good. That's not good for anybody. Okay, it's my largest asset is my home. I like, quite frankly, when my valuation goes up every year, if it's the right value, and that's incumbent upon you as property owners to make sure about that because you want to pay a fair share. I like it when my property assessment goes up, and if I have to pay, if my property is going up $20,000 in a year, and I gotta pay an extra $300 a year in tax, I'm going to pay that all day. I'm going to pay it all day. If I'm getting equity, I'm getting $20,000 that it's not going to me, it's going to my kids, quite frankly, after I die. But if I can get equity, if it's going up, if the true market value of my home is going up $20,000, and my value and my taxes are going up $200-300, I'm not going to gripe about that. I'm not going to gripe about it. So your assessment goes down. Not good news. Here's a bigger deal. The total taxable value of the town goes down. Okay, that's a bigger deal. Okay, as I said earlier, that's not going to happen. The total tax, that's why this example is not going to happen. The total taxable value of the town is not going down. It's going up. I call this the Armageddon example. Okay, and you end up paying the same example the same way you pay $85 more in taxes, even though your property value went down. Okay, if my assessment was going up $85 and my property value was going up 5, 6, 7,000 a year, I could live with that. If the assessment number was correct, I could live with that. Okay, so gonna get more into that at the end of February. So does New York State require reassessments? I got into that a little earlier. New York State does not require it. All they require, as per real property tax law 305, is that they be assessed at the same uniform percentage of value. Okay? So some more questions. Who's responsible for assessments and who's responsible for taxes? Again, reiterating, the assessor is responsible for the valuations. The taxing jurisdictions, the town board, the school board, the county legislature, they're responsible for the tax levy, hence the taxes. Those are things. This is a valuation project. Okay, this reassessment project is a valuation. It's not a taxation project. We're going to get calls in March that are going to say, you raised my taxes, Joe, 20%. And I'm going to be going like this. They're going to be yelling and screaming. And I'm going to say, sir, I said, I don't control your taxes. This project was not about your taxes. This project was about the valuation of your home. We can help you perhaps with the valuation of your home come March if you think it's incorrect. We can't help you with the taxes. Okay? Concentrate on the value of your home. Concentrate on the value of the home. Okay, what's the difference between market value and the assessment of the property? Well, market value is just a meeting of the minds, a willing buyer, willing seller, meeting of the mind. They make a valid sale. Those are the ones that make a valid sale. Okay, and an assessment is really one entity, the town, that's their opinion of what your property is worth. They could be right, they could be wrong, and that's another reason why you do a reassessment project. Okay, Town of Grand Island is currently assessed at 73%, and your assessment should be based on the same percentage used throughout the community. But remember, different parts of the community are going up and down at different rates. How does your assessor decide which assessments to change and by how much? Well, the assessments do need to be changed. Your assessor will be able to increase or decrease the neighborhood or group of properties by applying real market trends. My firm doesn't create the market. The assessor does not create the market that the valuations are based on. The market is based as determined by the people in this room and the people who are buying and selling in Grand Island over the last 3 years. Those are the people who set the market. Okay, I'll get asked this question. Joe, property values have been going through the roof for the last 7, 8 years. Okay, yeah, sure, it's easy to do a reassessment project now, but what happens when the property values go down? Well, I would hope, and I strongly encourage, that the municipalities would do a reassessment project at that point as well. But don't be fooled, okay, that lower assessments will lower your taxes. The assessor could lower everybody's assessment in Grand Island by 50%, and your next tax bill would not change 1 cent. It would not change 1 cent, even though your assessment got lowered 50%, because it applied to everybody. So you lowered everybody 50%. Gets back to the what I talked about earlier about the brain cramp. 50%. It'll come to me when I answer your question.
Yeah, I'll give you another round
Yeah.
here.
Okay. So don't be fooled or worried when property, or think that your property values or your taxes are going down if the market turns, and the market will turn. It's going to happen. Okay. Back in 2007, 2008, the rest of the country had a real estate bubble. You'll hear that. The real estate bubble hit in 2007, 2008. We didn't have that bubble. Okay, that burst. We didn't have it burst. And why didn't we have it burst? Because in 2000, 2001, 2002, the rest of the country, for the most part, had property values going like this, like we're experiencing now. they were seeing this. So what goes up must come down. Well, in 2007, 2008, come down. It came down. A ton of people were upside down on their mortgages. Never a good thing. By upside down the mortgage, they owed more on their mortgage than the house was worth, and that was all over the country, all over the country. Not in Western New York so much so, because we didn't have. Now we're seeing our values spike like this. Sooner or later, can't tell you when, the values are going to come down. The values are going to come down. Okay. Let's hope it's a soft landing. Let's hope it's a soft landing and not a hard. Okay, so how do you check the accuracy of the information? This is very important. Okay, when you get home tonight or tomorrow, the next few days, go on the assessor's website. Okay, right there in your handout, and you'll see a link that you can get in and check your property inventory. Put in your property address, and it pulls it up. I was just on it this afternoon looking at properties in Grand Island, and it has information on how big your house is, how many bedrooms you have, how many bathrooms you have. That's the information that's going to go into our modeling. Those things have most of those things have value, not everything. But if your square footage is off, how SFLA, square footage living area, okay, SFLA. That's the exterior dimensions of your house, okay, not including your garage. If you have attached garage, that doesn't get counted in the SFLA, okay. Below grade areas do not get included unless you have a split level or a raised range. Then they do get counted in. But you want to make sure your square. So we count closets, we count stairways, stairwells. That's included in the SFLA. People will come to us at the informals and they'll say the square footage is off by 200 or 300 square feet, and they'll have the dimensions. And what they do is they have the interior room dimensions that the realtor gave them maybe 10 years ago. They haven't changed. Those are interior dimensions. They don't count the closets. They don't count the stairwells. That's why we use exterior dimensions. So you want to make sure your square footage is correct. You want to make sure your lot size is correct. The condition of your property is accurate. It'll have a picture of your home on that. You want to make sure it's your house. It should be. It should be. But things happen. Okay. Things happen, and sometimes it may not be. So check that in the next few days. If you see things that need to be corrected, contact on the back of the form. You have a phone number to contact. Call that number and call the assessor's office and get those changes and send to us as soon as possible. Okay. These are the valuation day, assessor's calendar. The valuation day. We're going to value your property as of July of this year. It's a little bit confusing, but stay with me. That's New York State, only in New York State. So we're using July 1. That's the valuation date, but it's as of taxable status date March 1st. So it's what's on your property March 1st next year, but valued as of this past July, 2 months ago. Sounds crazy, I know, and I don't really know why it's not like that, but it's New York State. Exemption filing date, March 1st, like I said. Tentative roll filed May 1st. Grievance day, May 28th. And final roll is filed July 1 of 2025. Okay? So remember, as I started the presentation, reassessment does not raise the tax levy. The assessor has control over valuations, does not have control over taxes. Okay? A reassessment property is just an equitable redistribution of the pot. That's what I'd like to call it. And with that, there's a number that you can call starting tomorrow morning. Call that up until, I'm going to say, the end of May. Grievance day, I'm going to say. We'll get back to you hopefully within 24 hours, 48 hours at the latest. Email us information. You want to show us a bit inside pictures here. We're going to get into this in February. The best thing you can do to prove your value, and then I'm going to get on to the questions. The best thing you can do, you get your notice next March. Best thing you got to prove the value. The burden of proof is on you, the resident, the property owner, the business owner, to prove that your value is wrong. So how do you do that? A recent appraisal. If you have an appraisal, bring that in. Send it to us. Actually, you should email it to us. Save yourself some time. okay, email it to us, okay? Two is, if you bought your house, let's say, the notices go out March 1st, you bought your house in February, next February. Yeah, next February, okay? We won't have that information. You know, we won't have that, and maybe the assessment was 150 and maybe you bought it for 140, okay? Send us the sale contract and the ML listing. You know, it's got to be exposed.